Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about MPB. No, not the G1, not that MPB. MPMB. No, not the one that turns into the Bumblebee movie, Bog. We already covered that, and I detested it. We're going to cover this MPMB, and the MPM line here on the channel has been a little hit or miss. I've really been impressed with Barricade and Megatron, not so much with the Bumblebee or the Ironhide. So this guy is kind of in a tie-breaker position. No, I haven't looked at the whole line, but for what I've looked at, I have two that I think are legitimate masterpieces and two that I think fall pretty lackluster. Where does this guy fit in? Well, we're about to find out in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it'll let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. If you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. I got a couple of discussions that I plan to do pretty soon there. And this is the MPM Bumblebee that turns into the Camaro. And like, it's so weird. I don't like this vehicle mode for Bumblebee. Never did. I was never sold on the movie Bumblebee. But I will say this. After looking at the one that turns into the Bug, I feel like that this is done much better. Does that mean it's perfect? Does that mean that it stands up to the moniker of masterpiece? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And so here we are once again, taking a chance on Movie Masterpiece, thanks to our buddy Maximal10. And the last time we looked at Movie Masterpiece Bumblebee, it was the MPM 7 Bumblebee, the one from the Bumblebee movie that turns into a bug. And I detested that thing. We looked at it about 3 or 4 months ago in episode 876. I don't have that here for a comparison, but such is life. Now, with the MPM line, it's been hit or miss. I have really kind of enjoyed the Decepticons that I've looked at, being Barricade and most recently Megatron. In fact, I looked at Megatron last week in episode 917, and I did not enjoy the Bumblebee or the Ironhide. So the Autobots have not been doing well with this. We'll see how this one fares, but before we can get into Bumblebee himself, though I have no box and no packaging, we do have this gigantic set of instructions. And I honestly, like, they're not too bad, but some of the movements, like, it's just hard to explain. It's certainly hard to show it with just arrows. So I did use this to convert between both modes. However, that being said, I'm open to saying that there's probably movements that I have missed, probably mistakes I have made along the way. So these are only semi-effective. And we have this accessory. It is basically his blaster that goes on, like, kind of where his hand should be. And then that brings us to our boy B, and he rolls tremendously well. The tires are plastic. I kind of wished that they were rubber, but such is life. Yeah, rolls tremendously well, looks great. I mean, looks the part. I will note there is a tab up here that has a little bit of, like, paint scraping on it. Really, I think that's because of the transformation. I don't think that you can really do much about that. I'm not going to mark it down because of the scraping. It's just, why they didn't do it in yellow plastic is kind of beyond me. I guess they wanted the translucent back here and thought the paint would be good. I cannot, and I'm not saying that there isn't one, but I cannot find storage for this in vehicle mode. If somebody knows, hey, feel free to throw it down in the comments. First person who lets me know exactly where that stores in this mode, I'll pin it so that if you're wondering where to store that in vehicle mode, hopefully someone will have the answer in the comments. Does roll very well, looks great, looks the part. I like that we have the taillights back here, we have the license plate back here, we have detailing up front. Of course, this is officially licensed, so we do have the, what is it, Chevy, like, logo there. So yeah, I like this vehicle mode. Now then, I'm not going to do the scores for anything until we do the transformation, and I'm going to attempt to do that here. Truth is, I feel like it should go all right, but we'll see how things work out here for us. So, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I'm supposed to begin by opening the doors, I thought. There's a door open, and the whole kind of back section comes with it. And then over here, again, I thought the same thing. And where this isn't mine, I'm trying to be fairly delicate with it. Bring that out as well. You can sort of see the way that they intended the inside to look here, which is neat. I mean, no major detail or anything, but you know, it's still neat. So we have the doors out. We can take the front here and gonna bring these tires out, and then I believe we should, be able to take the front bumper, and it comes over and covers the front, and that comes over and covers the front, and that's kind of the chest of Bumblebee, kind of sort of done. The doors extend, and we kind of bring them up right now with the tires. So we have all of that sort of done, which honestly makes sense. Like, that seems logical. Then we come back here, and I believe I should, be able to pick all of this up next. The arms, we'll turn this over, is probably the easiest way. The arms will come out next. Up like that, and up like that. Again, this might not be perfect to what the instructions say, but it'll get us there. We bring an arm out, and we bring an arm out. And of course, now these sections will end up behind the arms in robot mode. Then, with this whole section down here, we should be able to turn the head around and come to the back here, fold this piece up, and fold this piece in, and I think fold, how is it that this goes? There, that folds on the back, and then this folds up and in. And all of that will kind of come down like that for now. All of this is on this armature here that's metal and plastic. We're gonna just leave that for now. We'll deal with kind of getting all of this sort of like in position in a little bit. We're gonna deal with the lower legs here. So first thing to do is bring up these little black sections on the side. The body will sort of kind of come down into those black sections. Then we should be able to open out the back here over the tire, open out the back here over the tire, and extend the leg out and tab it in. I think that that's simple and elegant. Why have Bumblebee legs ever been more complicated than that? I don't know. We bring this down like this, and we bring it over on the front of the shin. We bring this piece down and over on the front of the shin. Is that the way it goes, or is it this way? No, I think that's the way it goes. I think that's right. I think that's right. Okay, so next we come to the feet. Now the feet are a bit of a nuisance. So we kind of come to like the back, I don't know, fender we'll call it, I suppose, the back bumper, I guess. And we want to get that up and over. And we'll do the same here. We're going to take this piece, and we're going to get it up and over. The beautiful part is that now that we have that out of the way, we can begin to actually bring down the foot and ankle. Now the instructions aren't good at explaining the kind of feet and ankles. So I'm going to try here, but I don't sort of promise anything. So I bring out the toe, and I bring out the toe, and I believe the toes, by the way, are die cast, if I'm not mistaken. And then I bring down this black armature inside, and that allows me to sort of bring all of this section down. It's really interesting the way this is done. You bring this whole section down past everything, and that brings the foot down. At first when I was doing it, I couldn't figure out kind of where this went. It's like a heel spur basically, but I was like, where does that go? I didn't realize it kind of went up on the side. So going back to vehicle mode was a little bit of a chore. Once we have that done, we should be able to come to the tires, and they should come down in behind. And then this comes up. Now there's a kind of a tab here. I assume it goes into the tire right there to lock it in place. But I could not tell that from the instructions. Then we come over here, and again, we take the tire and we bring it kind of down and behind. And again, I assume, yeah, there we go. We have that little tab, there's a little rectangular tab on it. It comes up and it should lock into position. I might need to look at that a little closer myself. Then, once we have that done, we bring the, I don't know what to call it, like there's a hinge in here, we bring it all the way up and then we collapse the bumper in on it and it sort of goes around the leg. So hinge up, collapse, and in around the leg. That's the lower legs really done. So all we need to do next is deal with the upper body. I'm going to get this guy stood up and adjust the camera so we can do that a little easier. Now, kind of before we do the rest of the upper body, which is pretty simplistic at this point, I just wanted to show this. We have, of course, that piece of metal into a piece of plastic. All of that collapses on itself. Then there's a little black tab right there that goes into a rectangular slot on the metal, and that's what solidifies the body so we can stand B up and he looks like this. I bet you thought that I'd have him all together. We actually have another tab up here that goes into a slot right here on the front. So I thought that the best thing to do was kind of show it to you like this. So the back is tabbed in and then the front just flips up. And if you have everything lined up, then it too should just tab down into position. Can I get it here now? Pardon me. I thought that I'd be able to just tab it in, but I needed to be able to see the peg and the peg hole, and I couldn't do it from the vantage point I had. It is extremely simplistic. You flip it forward and you just wiggle the waist a little bit until that rectangular tab goes into the rectangular port. Then we come to these arms here, and we can bring them down like this. We can also take these black pieces and push them up on the side of the body to help solidify things. And we bring the arms like this. Then we come here to the doors and we can angle them up a bit if we are so inclined, and even angle the tires back a little bit. Then we pick this up and we flip out a hand and oops, and we bring that up on the arm. We turn this forward and we fold it like that. And on the other side we do the same thing. We bring this out and up, well, out and flip out, then up, then we turn it forward. Last but not least, we bring that down and we bring that down, and really, for all intents and purposes, boom, in the end, here we have Movie Masterpiece Bumblebee in his robot mode. And by the way, if you are so inclined as to attach the blaster, all you do is you flip the hand back in. There's a round peg on like I guess the back of the hand, on the back of the wrist, and a round peg hole inside of the blaster. It fits on very simplistically. When he has his blaster, maybe you want him to have his battle mask. If you want that, then it's, again, very simple. You just lift up the head, flip down the battle mask over his face, and close that back up. And B is all ready for action. The battle mask face looks like this. Pretty neat if I do say so myself. And his regular face? Oh, looks like that. It looks like Bumblebee. So here's the moment of truth. It's time for us to start giving this guy some scores. The transformation, I think, is a 10. Everything is logical. Everything moves in a way that makes sense to me. It's too bad that we have that one little piece that the paint has slightly scraped on. But besides that, honestly, everything here makes sense. There's tabs for everything. It locks in well. It works the way it should. And pieces move in a fashion that you would think that they would move. Like, yeah, okay, that makes sense that that would fold up there. Or that makes sense that, you know, that would go pegged in right there. How can I explain this? The instructions aren't great, but they give you enough of a guide along with the intuitive logic of this that honestly I think the transformation is great. What about the look of the guy? Again, I'm going to call it a 10, but it's kind of like with Megatron, like it might not be a 10. Truth is, there are parts and colors and shades here that make me think this is based on concept art. Like, I feel like the face and maybe the arms are a bit too dark, a little too I don't know, darker than gunmetal gray, and I feel like they should be gunmetal gray or silver. There may be yellow or black in places where it shouldn't be, but I look at this and I think it's movie Bumblebee, and I'm not invested enough in the movies to really be able to pick out the minute details that are missing here. So I'm going to give it a 10, but it's... Actually, I'm going to give it a 9, because I'm sure there are certain imperfections. So, like, I have to kind of respect that, but my heart must say 10. So, right now, it's kind of 10 and 10. What about the articulation for the guy? Well, that begins at the top, and we have a head that goes left, right, up, and down a bit. The arms are an interesting story. So they go way out, and this shoulder piece can get out of the way, but the way the shoulders are, I find... like this hinge in here, as well as the hinge on the shoulder wants to move, so it's, I don't know, it's a little weird, and I find sometimes like I don't want the inner hinge to move, but you know, I guess it does give him a really deep shoulder, so that's nice. We have an elbow to 90 degrees, bicep swivel, we have wrist rotation, we have base pin, it looks like at the thumb, and then a first knuckle for the other fingers. It looks like the first is individually articulated and the last two are connected. Base pin and then a first knuckle. It seems, that's what it seems to me. We do have a pretty free-flowing waist on the guy, so I dig that. What else? Ratchet forward on the leg, and it holds. It's a good solid ratchet, but not too heavy. It sounds heavy, but it moves like butter. Back is pretty fantastic. Out to the side, get that out of the way. Out to the side, I guess depending on how you have this, about this far. It's not perfect out to the side. If you move this piece, then you can get perfect out to the side, really. So I'm going to give it to him. The thigh swivels. The knee is 90 degrees. And then at the ankle we have forward and back. Now, I do wish that the ankle kind of locked in better. It's possible that this piece is supposed to lock in under here somehow, but I don't know how that is. And I could certainly believe that that would be the case. We do have, with that out though, we do have a little bit of a tilt at the toe that's supposed to serve as an ankle tilt. And we do have a heel spur that moves. I wish the ankles were a little more solid. Honestly, great articulation, but the ankles are a little loosey-goosey for my taste. Little bit loosey-goosey for my taste. I'm going to say that the articulation is... See, he wants to fall back there. I'm going to say that the and that's the story I find with this guy. Like, not bad, but doesn't like to stand the best unless I find the right balance point for him. I'm going to say about a 9 for the articulation, honestly. So, he's excellent. But, is he a masterpiece? Well, we'll deal with that question in just a second. For now, here is a scale kind of comparison. So he's large, right? I mean, it's a movie masterpiece, so yeah, this makes sense. Like I said, I'm kind of torn. On the one hand, I think that this might be the best movie Bumblebee I've ever handled, from mainline or movie masterpiece. I wish all of them were engineered in such a way that they made logical sense like this and worked as smooth as butter. To say it's a masterpiece, however, it's very good, but it's not quite perfect 10s. It's close. The overall score I'm going to give it, despite a 10, a questionable 10, and a 9, the overall score I'm going to give this is about a 9.5. 9.75. It is quite excellent. The only criticisms I have is I wish that one section didn't have paint scrape, and the only other real criticism I can levy is I wish the ankles were a little tighter, and truth is, maybe they do get tighter, and I'm doing something incorrect with the transformation, because it's quite possible. Based on my experience with this, it's quite close. Close enough that while it's not quite 10s, because it is the, hands down, best B I think we've ever gotten, I'm going to give it a pass and say that this guy actually probably does fill the bill. Barely, mind you, but does fill the bill as a masterpiece. So here we are, and here he is. So what an interesting kind of story here. On the one hand, I give the coloration a 10 because while I feel like it might not be the most accurate, like I feel like there might be things here that come from concept art or whatever, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's movie Bumblebee. So I give him the nod and I give credit where credit is due. There have been times where some of these movie masterpieces have been colored based on, like concept art and whatnot, rather than how they actually appeared in the movie. There's a couple of things here that seem a little too dark. A couple of places where maybe there's yellow where I'm not sure if there was yellow. Maybe there was. I don't know. I'm not that particular about the accuracy of the paint to the movie model because I'm not super informed, I guess, about the intricacies of every little paint detail on the movie models, because there's a lot more. It's a lot easier to be nitpicky of that sort of stuff, for example with G1, because it was more big splashes of color for the most part. So I gave credit where credit was due, and I gave the nod to really what I'm going to call perfect look for the guy. Card mode's beautiful. The only thing that I don't like is where this top section is painted and this tabs in. You're bound to have paint rub there. It is what it is. This copy has a little bit there, but it's solid and it looks cool. Then we get to the articulation. Generally, I think the articulation works pretty well. The ankles really kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, and I feel like I wish that they felt a little more solid and secure, but they work fine, I guess. The arms and shoulders are great, though I do feel like there's some extra movement in, I'll say, the wheel well section of the shoulder that I wish wasn't there. I wish that felt a little more solid to me. It's kind of held in place because of snapping everything together. So if everything else isn't snapped together, then those shoulder pieces will tend to have more wiggle and move anyway. And then we get to the transformation. While I think there are a couple of fiddly bits with this, I also think that it's the best time I've ever had with one of these movie Bumblebee transformations. That includes Studio Series, that includes Original, and that includes Mainline. I think that this is one of the best done transformations for Bumblebee. Is it a masterpiece and perfect? Close. Close. I gotta be critical of a couple of things, and I'm giving it more of like a 9.5, 9.75. So it's close. It's not perfect, but it's close. I would give it the nod as a masterpiece. And for me to do that, the bit that it's missing is made up because I do think it is the hands down best Bumblebee that we've gotten. So is it on its own merits necessarily a masterpiece? I think that it could be improved a little bit. But when we compare it to every other Bumblebee there's been, for my money, I think that this might just be the best. Let me know what you think about MPM Bumblebee. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. What else can I say? Hit the subscribe button, and don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way, baby, right here inside the videos.